associated with it, and that subtask is in the design done phase. And again, a subtask you can drag and drop, same as you do for any regular task, but it's allowing you to visually segregate and see, here's a task, subtask. If I want to add more subtasks, simply click on Add Subtask. You can just, much like anything else, you can set a summary. And you can just say create. So here it entered the workflow in the release backlog, which it should, because we would want to go through some kind of scoping activity and effort. And again, I can just drag it through the workflow. I go through scoping, and I can put it into whatever. Here's an interesting one. What this is telling me is that the workflow is blocking that action, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to jump over some of these steps here. There's actually workflow steps. So there's two workflow steps that I'm trying to leap over, and it shouldn't allow you to do that, because that's the way I've configured my workflow. But it will allow me to go from scope to design. Excuse me. So this is a nice visual segregation, and it's way better than the current Jira view. If you're satisfied with one, you can hide it, so you can have as many of these subtask views open as you want. You can just double click on it, and again, everything's very Ajaxy. Let's see. We talked about points-based or whatever. You can do complexity or some other, whatever we want to do. So that's just a custom field that Greenhopper is aware of. Editing fields, okay. So because this is a complete replacement, or pretty complete replacement or skin on top of Jira itself, let's go ahead and hide Jira. So it just collapsed the menu up here. Now what we can do, you don't have to do it, I just wanted a bit more real estate. Now what you can do is you can open up any particular task, and whenever you see the little pencil mark here, you can just click on it and edit straight in the card itself. You can update it. So if you're going through and you want to make some quick changes, it's going to make it easier, or at least I believe, for people to go ahead and just do that. So let's talk about some of the additional capabilities that I'm investigating. I hear some projects have Subversion integration. I definitely want it, and it will allow us to have a bit more confidence about what the changes are going into a test cycle. So I definitely want to get that. It'll help some of the more experienced or senior testers see how they're going to test a change if they can view the code. The other corollary or related note to that is, if I'm seeing changes in a source control system and I'm not seeing defects or tasks associated with them, I would have an issue with that, because there's work being done and it's not being managed per se, and that can be an additional risk to the project quality, and it can also be an invisible load on development. If people were changing code and they were doing it without a task, perhaps a refactor or something, go ahead and create a task so we can track that effort. Voting, we can do voting in Jira where people can, and again, all the rules can be configured, but people can actually vote on an issue it's kind of like a popularity contest where whether you're at business voting for a particular issue in order to get it moved into a scoping activity for a release. And the same also can be done with a prioritization, and this is a forced rank, where voting you can see who's giving you votes to a particular thing to work on. So you could actually have 2 or 3 things all being number 1 just by the volume of votes. Prioritization, one of them will have to be number 1 as a force ranking. Excuse me. There's a product out there called Open Source Requirements Management Tool, and I would like to dig into that a little bit more for projects where we want to create a set of requirements rather than a use case. It'll allow us to, potentially anyway, until we finish investigating, it'll allow us to go ahead and assign unique requirements IDs. For those that have used like Quality Center or something like that, pretty much like Quality Center plugging in to any of the large requirements management tools like Doors or something like that. So I'll let you know how things go there. There is also the possibility of doing a Microsoft project integration, and there we would have a gateway that goes ahead and you can feed it a project plan that you're satisfied with, that's been baselined, and it would go ahead and create all of the tasks needed in Jira in order to build that project plan, and then it would take your to-do dates and move those over with the tasks as well. So that's one way to get a project up quickly without double data entry and all the associated errors that go with that. There's a possibility, and I think we would have to pay, but there's a possibility of a tool that can also do bi-directional updates between project and the Jira system itself, so that as things move through Jira, they would dynamically update the project plan for those that are used to seeing your typical Gantt views and stuff like that. Of note that I've added some other things in here. Let's go look at one other feature that may interest people. Actually, I've added tons of stuff, but this is one that interests me anyway. Let me find a good example. So here's an example. I've got a task here, and I know it's very small. You can't actually probably see it, but this is basically it's an inline Gantt chart. It's showing you've got the original estimate 4 days 4 hours. I've got 4 days 3 hours remaining because I've spent 1 hour on this task. So this is another one of the myriad of Jira plugins that I've got going here, and I think this can give a very quick view for people to see how things are progressing. So whatever your filter criteria is in order to derive this list out of Jira, you can actually go ahead and see a lot of detail about your progress through that, and that's currently missing in Jira. Let's see. I'm sure I'm going to think of stuff after I hang up here, but anyway, let me go through, see if there's any other topics to hit. Perhaps we would go look at Chartboard. Well, Chartboard is just another view into it's used for your reporting portal. Well, I believe that's it. Anyway, so once again, nothing's concrete, very flexible, very malleable, very agile. We can configure it however we want. The base workflow can be set up, and then we can overload it with different project needs without having to do too much. We can customize different views into people for whatever the individual wants as well as a team, and we can enforce rules, and we can enforce data constraints and other activities, or not, it depends. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll hope to get some feedback.